Honestly, this is one of the easiest ways to book qualified sales calls, and you're never going to need to watch another video on booking calls ever again. Because I'm living in a world where I need to only book 23 sales calls to make $80,000 in cash collected last month. As you can see on my calendar, I had 27 created events, but I only took 23 calls. And out of those 23 calls, I closed $80,000 on my fan bases pro. So you can see 59K. This is like off the fee, so it's around like 61-ish collected on fan bases. I got 2K on WAP, and the rest was $18,000 on bank transfers. And I'm doing this with an 80% close rate, not because I'm special, but because what I'm doing is I'm doing something that most people just don't do when it comes to booking calls, because I'm playing the game differently. Because the info space has completely changed now. It's harder to book calls more than ever. It's harder to close deals more than ever. And most people's calendars end up looking something like this. And it's either a couple of reasons. Either number one, you don't have enough traffic to book calls, or number two, your process to book calls is horrible. Most of the time, it's the process to book calls. And the reason for that is very simple. The market is way more sophisticated now. So if you're selling online coaching, it doesn't matter what niche you're in. It could be fitness, it could be real estate, it could be relationship, it could be make money online, doesn't matter. Most likely your clients have seen something similar to what you're doing before. So everyone's been pitched, everyone's booked a call in for someone. So no one is trying to hop on discovery calls. No one's trying to get to know you and see how you can help. No one's trying to see how you can be a good fit. And I'm sure you've realized this. Most people, if they do booking calls, actually want to buy something. It's simple. Unless they're completely unaware about what you do and how you can help them, most of the time if someone's booking a call, that means they actually want to buy something, which is a good thing, because there's a flip side to this. Because that means if you do get sales calls nowadays, in this day and age, most people are just likely ready to buy straight away or make a decision on the call. Because if a lead does show up to the call, that means there's an interest in buying, because they already have that trust in you and how you can help them get from point A to point B. So the goal is not like it was before a couple of years ago, where it's like just book a shit ton of calls in your calendar and close them. The goal is how many people can you indoctrinate on your calendar, so you don't have to get a shit ton of calls to make a lot of money. So as you can see, last week, in the week I was creating this entire script for this video, I literally only had 7 sales calls, and I did $30,000 in cash collected. And these were one of the easiest calls I've ever done in my life because of how I structured my booking process. So I'm going to be walking you guys through exactly how you can get someone to be at a point where when they do book in a call, they're ready to buy something as quickly as possible, and how to book as many calls as possible with people like this. Not booking a shit ton of calls with random people that are just going to be like, hey, I want to check out your stuff. I'm just trying to see for a good fit. No, we're booking calls with people that actually want to buy something, because I'm making this video because I want to help you from going from not being able to book calls to booking calls with people that actually want to buy. But before you guys do that, I need you to understand why people buy stuff in the first place. So what you're looking at right now is a buying ladder, and every single thing that you're going to buy in the entirety of your life, and every single person is the same. Every person has to go through this ladder, and at any stage, people are going to go from being unaware to being aware, to trusting you, to loving you, and then ultimately making a purchasing decision. This happens for everything. If I wanted to buy this water bottle, for example, let's say I walk into the store, I might not know the brand Buxton, for example. I don't even know what this brand is. I see the brand, the brand, I'm looking at the bottle, I'm like, this is cool. So I go from unaware to aware, and then I'm looking at the labels. Maybe I don't look at the labels, I just look at water, and I'm like, all right, cool, I trust the water, I put it in my bag, I love the water, and then I just go buy and purchase it. So the speed of how quickly this happens depends on what you're obviously purchasing, but every single person goes through this. You go from not knowing what the thing is to knowing, and then actually trusting it, and then putting your credit card details or just tapping and paying for it. So the speed of which someone moves up this ladder entirely depends on the way you make them trust you more. So what most people do is they try to get people from unaware, and they try to get you to just buy straight away, and they skip all these steps. So that's why you see a lot of people booking in random calls with people that are just not qualified. They're just not the exact high speed that they need. So they spam outbound to random people. They send the calendar link to anyone. They put the calendar link everywhere, because they're just like, book a call with me now. And then they're surprised when people hop on calls with them, and they're just wasting their time. And they waste time with people. They have multiple objections with super unqualified leads. And this only happens because you're hopping on calls with people that have not even gone through this entire buying ladder. You're basically trying to use the call as a method to get them from here to here, which rarely happens. It's super hard for this to happen. And because these people just don't trust you the slightest, this is why you keep having situations where, number one, you might not really have any calls at all, because people just don't want to do that. And then number two, the calls that you do have are just super unqualified, and they're just not the people that you want to work with. So your funnel to book calls has to always revolve around trust. And that trust is going to in turn maximize the book calls that you get. Number one, maximize the qualified calls that you get, and also maximize the show up rate, which is basically all you need to be able to make money in this coaching space. So you get an effect where you actually end up closing 80 to 90% of the calls with people that actually want to buy instead of just spamming calls with random people. And you might think to yourself, 89% close rate is insane. But trust me, that's what you get when you have a process dished out. So here are my acquisitions that I use to, number one, book the calls. And then I'm going to show you the system that I use to actually get these people to hop on, trusting me and knowing that I actually help them solve the problem. So the first thing that I do is I have a paid ad and a content system. Second thing I do is I do something called indoctrination, which is what actually gets these people to trust me and want to actually purchase me. So that's going to be like the most important part. So make sure you get to that section, because honestly, if you can implement what I have there, your life is going to be so much easier. And then the third thing is just the conversation part. So how do I conversate with these people after they're indoctrinated to actually get them to book in a call and purchase from me? So I'm going to walk you guys through the paid out and consistency. But before I do this, I want to completely break the belief that you guys might have when it's like, I don't have enough traffic to book enough calls. Enough people don't see my page. Enough people don't know who I am. All of that is bullshit, because you do not have a traffic problem. Most of the time, people have a sales process problem. What I mean by this is Sabi Survey, billionaire marketer. He sold billions online. So whatever he says is probably going to be better than whatever this guy says over here. So it's like, I'll listen to what he's saying. He says most business owners think that they need more traffic, more eyeballs, more clicks, but traffic isn't the issue. Traffic is a commodity. You can buy from Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn, just like buying eggs at the store. The real issue is conversion. If you can spend $1 to bring someone to your site and earn $2 in return, congrats, you now have an unlimited marketing budget. A real business is one that can predictably turn strangers into customers. If you're relying on free traffic and hoping for virality, you're building a shaky ground. Algorithms change, but paid advertising has been around for hundreds of years, one for or the other, blah, 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 blah. You can say to the rest. But what he's basically trying to say is traffic is the easy part. Honestly, getting people to see you is honestly the easy part. What I mean by this is, let's say you have a problem where it's like, hey, I don't have enough followers to be able to have conversations with people to booking calls. Most of the time, that's not your problem. But let's say that's your problem right now watching this. Cool. You just have to spend $500 to $1,000 on Facebook ads. That's just how it is. If you really wanted that traffic, it's accessible with just paying for it. Or you just have to make better content, which is obviously stuff that we do. Like, we obviously help people like set that stuff up and help them scale. But it's like, that's not something that you should be difficult on. I'll give you an example. To get this 450,000 views that I spent, you might think I spend hundreds of thousands of pounds, $10,000, $15,000. No, I spend $5K to get this amount of people to see me. You might be like, oh my God, I might not have 5K, but it's like, you don't have to spend 5K, because I was making money when this had 70,000 views. And that was when I spent £1,000 or like £500. So you don't need a lot to get followers and get people that are interested in what you're doing. You just need something that's good, that's going to get them to actually pay attention. So when it comes to traffic, you just have to get good at, number one, making better content. And the way that you do that is I'm going to show you my content way of how I do certain things. And you have to get better at creating ads. I already made an entire video going over how I do my ads. I'll put it on the top right. So you guys can watch. I break down exactly what I use to be able to do inverted ads, where you don't have to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money back. So if you implement this, your traffic problem is going to be solved. So I don't want anyone in this video in the comment section saying like, yo, like, I just don't have enough leads to be able to do the strategy. You have enough leads. You can buy leads. It's simple. You can put money into Facebook. And if you don't want to do that, you can just make better content using strategies that I'm about to show you right now. So traffic problem is going to be instantly fixed. And obviously I teach this stuff in there. And when I started fixing this properly, I was able to go from where I was right now with not being able to attract the types of ICP that I want, because I was hustling every single day, trying to figure out organic videos. And I was like, damn, why is this videos not working? It's not going the right way I wanted to go. But then I switched how I did my content. I started spending on ads. As you can see, this month I did the breakdown video like that you guys are going to see. Like, I put it on top right, and I might link it down below if you guys want to watch it. I spent $800, guys, and I made back 13 grand. Obviously you might think that's not normal, but I've done it for normal people as well too. Like, I've done it for every single person not every single person, but I've done it for many different people that have been in that same situation as well too. So you're going to check that video out. But the way that I do it, if you guys don't want to be able to spend money on ads and you don't want to like put money behind that, is you can do it through organic. You can outline your dream follower and make content for them. And you need to make content around two things: pain points and desires. These are going to be super important things I'm going to mention, because these are the two drivers of action that get people to actually book calls in the first place. Then you need to focus on giving value and nurturing later. Let me give you an example. If someone was trying to get into a better relationship, the most obvious thing for them to do is for them to work on themselves. And then obviously the right type of person is going to end up being attracted to them. That's just natural. You get what I mean? This is common knowledge, but it's the most extremely like uncool method to market because no one cares about what they need to do for themselves. They want tips, they want tricks, they want the methods, they want the one-liners, they want everything that's going to be easy to make their life straightforward. So any content that I make that's going to be telling people to just be a better person and just, focus on yourself, if I don't package it the right way, it's not going to perform. So instead of doing that, you need to market the pains and desires. So think about what is your dream follower and what a dream follower is the exact type of person that you're trying to attract. What are the things that they want? They want to get into better relationships. What do they struggle with? They struggle with finding dates, approaching women, texting correctly, being confident. These are just easy things to conceptualize. So that's the reason I have these as examples. These are pain points. Then you write the desires, finding the girl that they want, going on multiple dates, making girls text back. I'm just using this example because, like I said, universal thing. So now you make your content to attract people who are struggling with that pain point around the pains and desires using this framework. You make a good hook. Captures attention. Hey, you can either do a question or a premise where you generate curiosity. And then like you do the hype up, you do the value session, you build up suspense. And this is the framework that every single person uses. And you would have probably noticed this framework is being used most of the time. Then you give the value, you give them the midpoint and the payoff. So you answer the real question to your hook, and then you tell them like, hey, follow for X. So like, for example of like a pain point hook would be like, for anyone trying to approach girls, I'm going to show you the strategy that got me 10 to 20 phone numbers yesterday in the next 20 seconds. I've gone on my dream dates with girls, and no, it's not because I'm handsome, it's because I use a strategy that any guy can use. And trust me, I only started doing this last week and no one talks about it. That on its own is a hook. If any relationship coach is using this, hey bro, like go rip that video. It's probably gonna do well. Then you do that, you get the point. Obviously, being consistent with the viral hooks and everything like that, it's not something that everyone can do if you don't really know. So that's why there's a lot of different swipe files that people have on like hooks and a lot of different examples that you can look when you actually do research. We actually have an internal team that does the content research for you. So we tell you what videos you need to make based on your niche. So all you have to do is literally just sit there and just record it. So that's something that we help people with. If you want to learn more about that, like there's going to be a link down below. But anyways, we're going to get back into how you can actually indoctrinate these people to make them buy. So now you guys have traffic. You guys know the normal shabam. You get traffic, you message the people, you book calls. That's what it is. But there's a section in between that's super important, because going back to this example that I showed you guys over here, what most people do is now that they're aware of you and they've seen your videos, you try to get them from here to here. That doesn't work. We're not trying to do that here. We want to build as much stuff in this trust and love section, because that's going to influence what happens when they get to the sales school. So this is what we're going to be doing in this indoctrination session to actually get people to buy. So what I like to do is I do a couple of things. I like to make assets that people see before my course and make them like a certain way to kind of invoke a specific type of belief. So whether that's a YouTube video like this, for example, hello there, hope you're enjoying the video so far, or a story, which people see on a constant basis every single day, and also my ads, whatever. So every story that I make, and the reason why I make stories is because I want to make people indoctrinate. I want people to trust me before they can get to the point where they actually buy. Like I said, the trust and the love part is where we're going to be doing most of our work. Every story is trying to create a specific belief. People are only going to take action based on desire or fear. And desire can be split up into like a number of different emotions. And the reason this is super important, guys, because I'm going to explain why desire and fear is a really big thing to making people booking calls. Desires can be split up into a bunch of different things. Split into hope, like, the belief that something that we want is attainable. It can be split up into like anticipation. It can be split up into joy. It can be split up into some bad stuff like greed, obsession. It can be split up into grief. There's a lot of different things because people always desire stuff, That's like one of the root emotions that everyone has. And then we have the flip side, which is fear. And then we also have the emotions derived from like, I don't want to be in situations where I'm not making this. I don't want to be in situations where I'm not doing this, blah, 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 blah. So basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tap into the most powerful emotions that people have, desire and fear. So what this means is, this is the fastest way I can accelerate people to go from where they are right now to getting them to trust me and getting them to love me. So every story that I'm making, like I said, is subtly trying to make someone take an action or implant a belief in their head so that eventually they will just take action and work with me. And it's not because the reason I do this is it's not sustainable to now that you're getting traffic, you're getting eyeballs. You're like, great, I want to book in calls now. You start spamming CTAs every single week. Like you guys will go out there and you start posting story sequences. One story sequence works. Next story sequence doesn't work. Third story sequence doesn't work. And then suddenly all your story sequences are not working and you're making no money. And like, damn, like, I'm getting less and less leads days. Like, what's going on? And it's because you guys are just doing inconsistent shit. Your story views drop significantly and you get less and less people eventually DMing you over time. And you get to the point where it just doesn't work. So instead of playing that bullshit game, play the game where you do it subtly and you do it gradually, so you get inbounds here and there that add up over time. And then over the course of 30 days, you would have gotten way more inbounds that you would have gotten from doing the normal CTA stuff, because no one likes that stuff anymore. So for example, anytime I post a case study or a result, it drives the emotion of hope, comparison, sometimes envy, sometimes joy, obsession, and it can have many more depending on how I market the story. And then that obviously drives people from where they are right now in that ladder to ascending them to the point where they can actually purchase some stuff. So I'll give you an example. These are the types of stories I would post. I'll still post stories of like doubling next month, second thing doubling next month. I'll be like, hey, this guy had 9K, 9.8K. This was like a couple of days ago. Who had a 3K. These guys joined the group, Esco and Kale, and had like 15K month. And it's like now they're gonna double it this month because they're launching stuff. And then I show different videos of me improving the program, like me doing prizes, for example. Like I did the giveaways in my group. So in the group itself, I actually do like prizes. Like I'll even show you guys. So as you guys can see in the group, like literally we do like a bunch of different things. So we're giving away a free stay, like a 5-star hotel. We're giving away an iPhone. We're giving away Oura rings, a bunch of cool stuff for the person who gets the most cash collected in the group. And just like a couple of days, you can see already, like Josh is already on like 22K, Esco's on 15, Luke's on like 11. And this challenge literally only started like yesterday. And these guys are already like hitting it. So it's like the group is fucking winning. And it's like you guys can see the group's win is like it's crazy right now. Like it's just insane. And this was all just like yesterday. So this happens on a consistent basis. So instead of telling this, I show this on my stories. I show me improving the program. I show me talking to my students live on phone calls. And I'm like, yo, how much did you make? And it's like, yo, I had a launch and I did like $120,000 in 4 days of running ads, like from myself. So the stuff works. So instead of me saying, oh, my stuff is so good, I show it. So then people see this and in the back of their mind, they're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how is this guy doing it? That should be me. Damn, I want the exact same thing. I'm happy for that guy, but I want to do the same thing. What are they doing now? I'm not. These are all the emotions that are coming out that are very related to what I've put over here. And they're just extending in their mind and they're like, damn, I want to get to that point. And then all you're trying to do when you're marketing is literally you are just ascending people up that ladder. Every story is subtly ascending people on that ladder. So eventually they get to the point where they're like, all right, cool. I'm just going to work with this guy. I'm making beliefs about like, damn, ads is changing these guys' lives. These guys are implementing ads and they're just launching offers and going crazy. So everyone's like, oh my God, how do I use ads to be able to scale my business? That's exactly what I want to be able to do. So as you can see, what happens is you have an effect where, let's say person A is like a prospect that's like, I'm interested in working with like Mahiz. They see this and they go, okay, cool. I trust you a little bit more now. I've seen more proof. And they go from trust to love. And then this is like person A. And then person B could be in that aware stage and then they can be in that trust stage. They see a story and instantly they just go up to like, okay, I want to buy from this guy just from seeing the story. The speed of how quickly these guys move is dependent on the person to an extent, but instead of focusing on the person, focus on what you can control, which is the number one thing that drives how quickly this happens, was the frequency of how many times you make them experience these emotions and how relevant it is to the situation. Frequency and relevance is the most important thing. Frequency, relevance, frequency, relevance, frequency, relevance. The reason why this is important is because if you do this, let's say every single day, and let's say person A who's slightly just going up and up. Maybe there's someone that's a little bit skeptical. They just found out about you a couple of days ago. And then you're spamming videos after videos after videos after videos, stories after stories after stories after stories that are making them actually feel emotions and not just fucking random stories of just like a fucking skyline that you just posted because you thought it was cool. Like stories that actually make people think, damn, like this guy knows something. I'm feeling something from seeing the story. Like, I wish this was me. I wish I could do this stuff. If you do that consistently, they will eventually budge. The person could be someone that's maybe skeptical and it takes them a little bit longer before they budge. But if it's a person that actually has a problem that you can solve, they will eventually budge and they will eventually do something. That's the first thing. Person B could be an entire different person where they see it and they see maybe a couple of stories and they're like, all right, cool, I'm buying from you. They could be two different people, but like I said, eventually, because you do the action of the thing you can control, which is consistently posting and consistently making things relevant to their situations, they're gonna buy. And that's how you end up getting messages like this. Damn, this sold me. How would your consulting group work for my group, like for my business? And then I have loads of different messages where people just DM me directly, yo, how much is your coaching? I get these messages consistently. And the only reason I get this, it's not random, by the way, because you might think to yourself, oh, these are just random. These are not random messages. These are guys and girls who have consistently seen story after story, ad after ad, YouTube video after YouTube video consistently, and they have just been slowly going from here to here to here. So eventually, all right, cool. Let's hop on a call. Let's do this. And that's what you need to do to be able to get consistent indoctrination and get people to actually buy your stuff. And then there's the other side of things. So now that you're getting people to actually come in and reach out to you, how do you get people to do that consistently in a way that's maybe not subtle? Because maybe some people might not just be like, yo, how much is the consulting? Some people might be a little bit on edge. The way that you force that to also happen in the DMs is you can actually accelerate this process by just talking to them, by having a phone call. One phone call, which is basically the reason we have sales calls anyways, is to get people from here to here. But one phone call, if you do it correctly, or one conversation can also do the exact same effect as well too. Conversations, I've had conversations with people where they didn't know me crazy before, but then they had a conversation with them, maybe a back and forth conversation directly with me in the DMs. I was sending them voice notes, they were sending me voice notes back. And then because of that, they were like, all right, cool, I want to buy from this guy. Because I answered questions that they just had in the back of their mind. And the way that I do that is by basically doing expertise and showing value stories. Okay. So let me give you an example over here. I would make stories where I tell people, hey, ask me a question, or I might do a thing where I'm like, hey, bro, like DM me a question. Or I might give a thing where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to show some sort of expertise. The expertise stuff typically just tries to invoke trust and make people trust me. But the ones that I get a lot of inbounds is when I ask people, ask me any question, I'll give you some source. I'm on my phone for today, and typically I actually am on my phone, and then I just reply, and then questions as well too. So these stories always start conversations with people, and it gives me an opportunity to send people down the buying ladder. So let me give you an example. Had someone the other day, he DM'd me about like a funnel. He was like, yo, like I want to be able to set up this funnel, for example. This person probably didn't know that I could help him with his funnel. And then I showed him exactly how I could help him with his funnel. And they was like, all right, cool, I want to have a conversation with you. That would have never, so that guy went from here to booking in a call to wanting to actually like pay me for a service because of that simple conversation. So if you can give yourself opportunities to have these conversations consistently, you can also get to the point where this is also a norm for you as well too. And people who struggle with specific problems come to me, and I help them with their situations. And I just usually do like, hey, just reply to my story or whatever. I prefer doing this because it gives you an opportunity to get someone to trust you and show expertise. And it's not just like giving away free value, because the thing about free value stuff is people just come in, they take it, and they just don't talk to you. So it's like, it's guys like this. It's like the homeless guys coming up and like, yeah, free stuff. But like when I'm giving them beliefs, when I'm giving them emotions, when I'm giving them paradigm shifts, when I'm making them trust them, they come to me with the money lined up and they're just ready to pay me. So yeah. And then the final part, which is how you piece everything together, is conversation. So the way that you carry conversations into book calls is very important, because in sophisticated markets, it's changed. If you're in markets where like they're emerging, they're new, they're fancy, people don't really know, you can kind of get away with doing bullshit. And when I say doing bullshit, you can kind of get away with not having a super sophisticated and super dialed in process. But the phrase I always tell myself is this: every time the market changes and gets more sophisticated, no one wants to be set, but everyone wants help. Okay? I've had people who I know personally who would have seen my stories, but they would never message me through the Instagram. They would either message me on like iMessage, or they will find my number, or they might call me, for example. And they're like, yo, bro, I saw that story. Like, like, what's your mentorship price? Like, oh, you're raising your price. Like, damn, I want to like learn about your stuff, like, how does it look like? And it's like, because they don't want to feel like it's a process. They don't want to feel like they got booked in on a call. They don't want to feel like they had to be set. They want to feel like they made a decision themselves. So instead of making everyone feel like it's a process, spend time to add personalized elements into your outreach, because DM scripts don't work, guys. AI sellers don't work, guys. At least not right now. And because the reason why they don't work is the market is so sophisticated to the point where guys just already know what you're trying to do. But when have you ever seen someone like send you a text and you wouldn't instantly know if it's a seller or not? You need to actually have conversations with people. You need to put your pride aside and actually do it, to not be lazy about it. Because think about it like this: if you're trying to charge 5K, 10K, sometimes 12K, because my prices range as well too, and you're not willing to have just a back and forth conversation for like maybe a couple minutes with an actual human being, then it's like you're in the wrong industry. It's the same thing for like your business. Maybe if you're selling like a volume thing where it's like a low ticket thing, like maybe, I don't know, like $500, $450 or whatever, then yeah, I can kind of get that. But if you're selling stuff super high ticket, and you're not trying to have personalized conversations with them, then it's like I feel like you're in the wrong industry. Like honestly, the best way to do it is just to be authentic in the DMs and leverage voice notes. So what I do is if I see a really good qualified lead that I think I can genuinely help, I send a voice note to start a conversation, and then that's how I get myself in the door. And if I don't want to do that, and I want to get my team to do that, I have my team basically just reaching out to them who post stories and have conversations with them, have genuine compliments, make them feel good about themselves, actually give them some value, and then boom, it starts a conversation. It's just easy to get the store from there. So as you can see, this guy goes in, it's like, yo, like, hitting the nail on the head with that brother. Like, I replied to his story and he's like, yeah, like, by the way, I need your help with someone. I know I can count on you. And then boom, start the conversation. This guy probably wouldn't have reached out to me, but like, yo, I need your help because they're gonna be, I'm gonna be sad. But it's like because I made the conversation easy, because he knew I was like a human being. So all right, cool, let me talk to this guy. Same thing over here. And then boom, they just start conversations. So if you want the best results, basically just send 10 to 20-second voice notes. If you don't want to do that, just actually try it and sit down, look at her profile and try start something that's kind of interesting about the conversation. It can be as simple as like, yo, where's this place? This looks like a really cool place. If there's nothing notable, just ask them a question about what they do and link it back to themselves. People want to make themselves feel good about themselves. So make them feel good. If you keep sending stuff like, yo, appreciate the follow, bro. It's like, what made you reach out? Like, bro, it's like, nah, bro, that shit don't work, bro. So once you've got that over there, step 2, qualify them. Hey, what videos do you like? Where you from? Just curious, what do you do for work? Blah 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 blah. Try to qualify them. I like to ask like maybe 1 or 2 questions to qualify max. Ideally, just a couple of questions and just more conversation. Try to identify a gap with the questions. So try to create something that creates a gap. So like, okay, cool. Like, what are you trying to hit? Like, what's your goal? How far are you from that goal? Blah, blah, blah. And then transition into the call. So once you know they're qualified and once you know there's a gap and they want help, just book the call. Like, there's no point of like going back and forth or whatever, because they're going to see your stories. They're going to see your stuff. And if you have a good trust asset after the booking a call, which is basically just like a VSL or like a video that just shows them exactly what they have and just shows them all the FAQs that people usually have, you're basically good to go. So you guys can obviously, you can read through this or you can just screenshot this and keep this for yourself. I'm not going to like spend too much time to read through this because it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, pretty much what it is number 1, solve the traffic problem with content and ads to get followers. Like I said, it's not difficult. I just broke down the process of how to read the videos, how to run the ads, and obviously if you want to check out more details of how I do the ads, like I said, there's another video down below. Indoctrinate people with stories in YouTube videos, start conversations with people and then send them to the buying ladder, and then build a CRM with just top quality conversations that you can just book in. So have a list of the people that you know that these guys I can help the most, keep following up with them, keep having conversations, and then yeah, you're gonna end up booking in way more qualified calls using this, way more calls with people that have money and less tie kickers, because people are going to be indoctrinated. So yeah, guys, if you want help scaling without spamming a shit ton of calls in Canada that are just going to be absolutely bogus, there's going to be a link down below that shows you exactly how I can actually help you start and scale consultant business past 50 to 100K a month. Your worst case is you leave that call directly with me with actionable insights to get to where you want to be, even if you don't work with me. So down below, the link is going to be there. It's a 5-minute video, shows you how I can help. And yeah, we take it from there. Peace.